Some doubted that such an era exists, but the recent unprovoked and brutal invasion of Ukraine by Russia proves that autocrats continue to exist in this world and present trouble to our democracies. But the greatest challenge facing the democracies of the West today is not in Russia. It is here in Asia, where China continues to challenge the rule-based international order that threatens freedom-loving peoples throughout the region. Taiwan is on the front lines of this epic contest. That is why that in this era it is important that the democracies of the West stand up and defend thriving democracies such as Taiwan against the bullying of your neighbor to the West. And of course, it is my personal view that the one China policy has outlived its usefulness, that it is time to move away from strategic ambiguity.
我们艾斯培前部长，我们 Stefanini 大使，还有 Pavel 副会长，我们各位同仁，大家好。
Former U.S. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper, Ambassador Stefano Stefanini, Senior Vice President of the Atlantic Council Barry Pavel, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
欢迎各位来到台湾。各位贵宾过去在行政部门担任重要的职务，这次在大西洋理事会的推动下，共同访问台湾。我要谢谢各位用行动展现美国和欧洲对台湾的关注和支持。
I extend a very warm welcome to our distinguished guests. You have all served in key roles in government administrations. Today, thanks to the efforts of the Atlantic Council, you are making this joint visit to Taiwan. Your actions demonstrate U.S. and European concern and support for Taiwan. For this, I am sincerely grateful.
过去这段时间，不论是在美国、欧洲或者是台湾，都发生许多的变化。我们除了面对疫情带来的挑战、威权主义的扩张以及俄罗斯入侵乌克兰的事件，更提醒我们，民主伙伴之间必须强化结盟的力量，一起捍卫和平以及民主自由的价值。
In recent times, the United States, Europe, and Taiwan have faced many changes. The challenges of the pandemic, the expansion of authoritarianism, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine have all reminded us that democratic partners must bolster the strength of their alliances to jointly defend peace and the values of freedom and democracy.
就在上个月 G7 峰会发布了联合公报，再度强调台海和平稳定的重要性。我们也感谢美国持续依据台湾关系法及6项保证，履行对台湾的安全承诺。
Last month, the G7 leaders' communique reiterated the importance of peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. We would also like to thank the United States for upholding its security commitments to Taiwan in accordance with the Taiwan Relations Act and the 6 assurances.
未来台湾会跟美国、欧洲等民主伙伴持续加强合作，确保印太区域的和平及繁荣。
Looking ahead, Taiwan will continue to strengthen cooperation with the United States, Europe, and other democratic partners to ensure peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific.
我们也看到上个月大西洋理事会首度发布自由及繁荣指数，将台湾的自由度列为亚洲第1，全球第18名，繁荣度则是全球第27名。
Also last month, the Atlantic Council issued its new Freedom and Prosperity Indexes. Taiwan ranked first in Asia and 18th overall in the Freedom Index and 27th overall in the Prosperity Index.
在全球民主联盟推动经贸合作上，台湾有能力也有意愿扮演更积极的角色。
In terms of advancing economic and trade cooperation among the global community of democracies, Taiwan is willing and able to play an even more active role.
上个月底，台湾和美国已经举办台美21世纪贸易倡议的首场会谈。除此之外，我们也期待台美持续透过贸易及投资架构协定，也就是 TIFA 会议，以及经济繁荣伙伴对话，也就是 EPPD 的管道，一起深化经济伙伴关系。
At the end of last month, Taiwan and the United States held the inaugural meeting of the U.S.-Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade. Additionally, we look forward to Taiwan and the United States deepening economic and trade relations through such mechanisms as Trade and Investment Framework Agreement meetings and our Economic Prosperity Partnership Dialogue.
我们也正在推动强化欧洲链结计划，希望和欧盟的全球门户计划能够相互呼应，来深化、来加深台湾跟欧洲国家的链结，为全球民主伙伴的团结贡献己力。
To echo the European Union's Global Gateway initiative, we are also rolling out a plan to strengthen ties with Europe. By bolstering our connections with European nations, we are contributing to enhancing the solidarity among global democratic partners.
各位贵宾的支持也将成为台湾持续前进的力量。在这里，我要特别感谢艾斯培前部长，无论在美国国防部长任内，以及近期都多次表达对台湾的支持。
Your backing lends Taiwan the strength to continue moving forward. In particular, I want to thank Secretary Esper for his numerous expressions of support during his tenure as U.S. Secretary of Defense and beyond.
我也要再次感谢各位远道而来，欢迎常常来访，一起持续促进双方的合作交流，祝福访问团的行程圆满顺利。谢谢。
Once again, thank you all for traveling so far to be with us. Please visit often, and let's continue to advance cooperation and exchange. In the meantime, I wish you a very successful trip. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, thank you for that wonderful introduction and for your kind words.
蔡总统阁下，非常感谢您刚刚的介绍以及刚刚的欢迎之词。
Thank you also for hosting me and the Atlantic Council delegation today to discuss very important issues.
也非常感谢总统阁下今日接待我以及太平洋理事会代表团，我们一起来讨论重要的议题。
And as you noted, it's not just a U.S. delegation, but European as well. After all, global challenges require a global response.
那么大西洋理事会不仅是美国，也是欧洲的重要机构，我们要一起来讨论重要的议题。
Personally, for me, it's great to be back in Taipei and to be joined by the wonderful freedom-loving people of Taiwan.
非常高兴再次回到台北，并且来看看热爱自由的台湾人民。
As Secretary of Defense, I made it a priority to make sure that the United States military and our allies were well prepared to deal with this era of great power competition that we are now in.
那么，身为前国防部长，我的任务就是要带领美国以及盟友一起来面临这个世界上重要的局势。
Some doubted that such an era exists, but the recent unprovoked and brutal invasion of Ukraine by Russia proves that autocrats continue to exist in this world and present trouble to our democracies.
俄罗斯入侵乌克兰，证明了专制国家持续存在世界上，并且造成极大的问题，并且威胁我们的民主。
But the greatest challenge facing the democracies of the West today is not in Russia. It is here in Asia, where China continues to challenge the rule-based international order that threatens freedom-loving peoples throughout the region.
那么，对于民主最大的威胁不是俄罗斯，而是在亚洲。我们看到中国持续破坏以这个法治为基础的全球秩序，威胁所有热爱自由的人民。
Taiwan is on the front lines of this epic contest.
台湾是这场战役的前线。
The mere existence of a thriving democracy with a robust economy and our freedom-loving people is anathema to everything that the Chinese Communist Party believes.
那么，我们支持 拥护民主则是对抗中国的信念。
That is why that in this era it is important that the democracies of the West stand up and defend thriving democracies such as Taiwan against the bullying of your neighbor to the West.
所以现在西方的各个民主国家应该要站出来支持台湾这样子的民主，来面对邻国的威胁。
If there's one issue that unites politicians in Washington, D.C., it is the view that China is a strategic challenge for our country and that Taiwan is a good friend that we must support and defend.
那么目前在华府的政策当中有一个共识，就是应该要一起支持台湾来面对中国所造成的威胁。
This was a similar message that I carried while in office to our friends in Europe and that in NATO meetings as well.
那这样的讯息，我同时也传递给在欧洲以及北约的伙伴们。
So I was very pleased to see the NATO strategic concept come out and address the challenges that faces the countries of the West, particularly Europe and the United States.
所以我也非常乐见北约提出了相关的战略计划，来协助西方以及欧洲。
So I know that the delegation and I look forward to our meetings today with you and with members of your cabinet to discuss trade matters, diplomatic matters, economic integration, and of course, security preparedness.
所以我本人以及我们的访团今天非常荣幸来到这边与您会面，还有台湾的内阁一起来讨论贸易、外交、经济整合以及安全相关的重要议题。
And of course, it is my personal view that the One China policy has outlived its usefulness, that it is time to move away from strategic ambiguity.
那以我个人的观点来讲，我认为一中政策现在已经没有用了，我们应该要远离所谓的战略模糊。
I think it's important that we begin that national discussion back in the United States.
我想我们在美国应该要重新有不一样的讨论。
But it will help that discussion and help us educate the American people if we can also point to bold decisions being made in Taipei.
那要重新的向我们的国人宣导，并且教育他们一个很好的方式，就是告诉他们台湾在台北所做的这些政策决定。
Decisions such as a bold increase in defense spending. Decisions such as an adoption of asymmetric warfare and corresponding capabilities.
那这些政策包括大胆的提升国防预算，以及增加不对称战力能力等等。
Decisions such as lengthening conscription and making it more rigorous.
这也包括延长征兵制兵役的期间，
And decisions such as improving reserve mobilization.
以及增强这个后备战力以及动员的能力。
It is important that the American people and our leaders in Washington fully see that the Taiwan people are fully committed to standing up to communist China and defending themselves as we, the democracies of the world, stand behind Taiwan.
所以我们一定要让美国的领袖以及政治人物在华府都能够看到台湾人全力支持捍卫自己的民主，而全球的民主阵营也会支持台湾。
With that, Madam President, I want to thank you once again for meeting with us today. I want to thank you for your courageous leadership, and I look forward to our discussions this week. Thank you.
蔡总统阁下，再次感谢您今天的接待，我也要特别肯定您勇敢的领导力。那么非常期待我们这次的讨论，谢谢。